Like the decade itself, jazz was fast, loud, and raucous, uninhibited, joyous, and highly controversial. It came from the dance halls and clubs of an oppressed people, African Americans from the nation's South, who had been flooding into northern cities since the First World War. Born in New Orleans, jazz traveled up the Mississippi to Kansas City and the south side of Chicago, then moved on to New York City's Harlem. By the early 1920s, Harlem was the largest black community in the country and the center of black commerce and culture, the likes of which the nation had never seen. Here could be found Marcus Garvey and his Universal Negro Improvement Association, the largest black organization in the history of the nation. A black printer from Jamaica who came to New York in 1916, Garvey built a following of more than 500,000 members by championing racial pride, economic independence, and self-rule. In his African Orthodox Church, worshipers could glorify a black Christ and a black Virgin Mary. The pomp and spectacle of his many auxiliary organizations, like the Universal Black Cross Nurses and Black Eagle Flying Corps, appealed to the pride of working-class African Americans, whom Garvey encouraged to establish and support their own businesses. In the 1920s, Harlem was also the main center of the New Negro, the name given to a new generation of African American city dwellers who were prosperous, independent, and self-assured. Here, too, was a flowering of African American arts and letters known as the Harlem Renaissance. Writers and artists who spoke in an African American voice about African American lives.
We young and Negro artists who create now intend to express our individual dark-skinned selves without fear or shame. If white people are pleased, we are glad. If they are not, it doesn't matter. Langston Hughes, poet and novelist.
And whites would go into Harlem and enjoy the music, the creativity of African Americans. The Cotton Club, for example, served white patrons exclusively. African Americans could perform in these clubs. They could not sit in the audience.
Broadcasting live from the Cotton Club, radio carried the sounds of Duke Ellington and his orchestra into homes throughout the nation. Downtown, Sissel and Blake's Shuffle Along became the first black musical to make it on Broadway. On records, Bessie Smith's soulful blues won the hearts of white and black listeners.
Bessie Smith, who is often called the Empress of the Blues, perhaps personified blues women of the era. And to understand blues women, they represented creativity and lower class strivings. The songs that Bessie Smith and other women sang, they sang about the hardships, about love lost, about the difficulties of being black.
White musicians also took up jazz and blues, reaching even broader audiences. Radio and records spread the new sounds far and wide, permanently transforming American music. Young Americans embraced the black-derived music and dance forms as their own. But not everyone was pleased with the new music or movies or any of the other offerings of the new mass consumer culture.
Dancing instructor Fenton T. Bott voiced the concerns of many Americans, both black and white, about the evil influences of jazz. Its primitive rhythms, the savage crash and bang, many people believed was seducing American youths into temptation and sin. The United States, many people feared, was becoming a nation of lawbreakers. And we would hear the same sorts of complaints again with the arrival of rock and roll in the 1950s. And then with the arrival of rap in the 1980s.